Oh, he's here. He's here.
Oh, there it is.
Just gave it.
Oh, oh, I see.
Wish my
Good afternoon.
Pam had sent it both to you.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Can you hear me now?
It should be. You just have to, you have to eat it like up to your face. I'll write that down all the way up to your face. Up to your
I was
face.
just telling him.
Are you ready?
All right.
You late.
Good afternoon. I'm sure it's 3 o'clock someplace. And we're going to start just a little early because folks, we're going to strap on our seatbelts and get our speed helmets on because we've got a bit of work to do today. But before we do that, I'd like to welcome everybody back, the newbies as well as the oldies. And we'll quickly call roll.
Good to use the mic.
Diane Duraway. Mary Gray.
Here.
Thank you. Paula Connors.
Here.
Thank you. Don Elwanger.
Here.
Thank you. Jim Shaw.
Here.
Thank you. Jean Dasher.
Here.
Next up, we're going to talk about approval for the minutes from the last meeting of May 16. Are there any questions or comments? If not, I need a motion from someone to adopt.
A second.
I guess I first.
I said you made the motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any objections? No, moving right along. We can do that, yes. Comes to a chair report. I'm going to make this very brief. As I said, welcome to everybody. And if we have some visitors on Zoom, welcome to you as well. We're looking forward to a positive start to a positive year as we do our best to work with our owners, our committee, and community, as well as supporting the board in the appropriate way. As we move into the report and proposals, I just want to remind everybody that the proposals are the product of a walk or a report. So we start with a walk on the boots on the ground with specialists and steward, chair, liaison. And there are comments that are developed by expert as well as committee members. That forms a tree walk notes. And from those notes, as they're presented and discussed here, if we go forward, which we invariably do, we'll be asking either Carson or Grove, depending on the situation, to prepare a formal report, proposal. And that will include scope of work and those are mine. We'll come back to this with a formal piece that we will be considering and acting upon. And indeed, that's what you'll see today. You'll notice that our focus is on scope of work, assessment and scope of work. Scope of work. We are not really at this point concerned about cost. We're concerned about need and assessment that comes from the committee. The formal proposals will, if it looks like it makes sense, we vote on it and approve it as a committee, and it'll be forwarded to the board for consideration and action. If for whatever reason we're not quite there, we have the ability to say no thanks, or maybe let's table, or let's regroup and come back. Now, that is the same thing that could be said for homeowner requests. And so with that in mind, I just wanted to reiterate kind of how we do this, and I'm going to ask Christina if she has any comments as liaison. You were going to chat about 1572?
Oh, I thought you meant about what you just said.
Well, you can
Oh,
do that
okay.
too.
No,
Please
no,
do.
No, that, what you said is accurate, so it's fine, yeah. That's your report. Just two things. One is about AB 1572. We are going to have Nick Schubert from Carson present next month at our meeting on August 15th, and he can give us an update and a little bit more information on AB 1572 to all the committee members, and that will give you an opportunity also of asking some questions and getting some feedback from him. There's also secondly, in zone 2, Diana, where if you remember, there was the 4 redwood trees. Yeah. So the board did approve to have a surveyor look at this area. And Nicole is monitoring that. And as soon as that he starts work, we will let you know. And for zone 2, to find out exactly the plot lines, it's kind of to figure out, do those 4 redwood trees belong to us? Or does it belong to the campus commons? So that's where we are on there. So those just, thanks.
Okay, at this point, we would invite any homeowner who would like to speak or have a comment to step to the mic. Please give us your name and address.
My name is Sue Henderson. I live at 216 Dunbarton. With my husband Marty, we've been owners for 14 years. And I think we've been pretty good neighbors. And my husband used to be on this committee, and he spearheaded an irrigation project long ago. And he actually got a round of applause, which I've never heard ever here again or before. So I'm here today, and I have a kind of a 3-part message for you. And I made some notes. I am a writer and a storyteller, so I'm trying to keep this simple, but I'll put past, now, present, and future regarding our property at 216 Dunbarton. On the first Monday of May, my cleaning lady arrived and she was all upset. She said, Sue, they're taking down all your shrubs in the front. We were unprepared and not notified about this. 19 plants removed, including a camellia by the front door, which I have no idea why they took it. It wasn't in the way. I'm nervous. It was really shocking. I cried, I screamed, I sat in the chair numb for a while. I just couldn't believe this had happened. When Marty came home, he was pretty angry too. And after we calmed down a bit, we came to the office, and Nirmal, bless her heart, she deserves a raise. She said she'd heard from many people in Zone 4 that day, some crying on the phone. And apparently this was not only our place that had been, had a lot of plants removed. Ours by far, very visible from the street because we are a large unit. And when you turn the corner at Dunbarton, you can't miss what's happened there. That was 3 months ago. And somebody mentioned, oh, we should have known because we got a notification that, you know, the fence and but we had no idea this was happening. It's just uncalled for, especially not to be notified. We wrote a letter in May and to the board and to the manager. I didn't attend. I was still too upset. Our front entrance has been an ugly, barren eyesore for the last few months. On a personal level, what people might not know is, as I told my friend the other, you know, human beings live here. I work from home. I've been a psychotherapist for 37 years. I have clients come to my house, and that's what they come up the stairs to see. I was planning a party for my granddaughter who's engaged May 18th, and I was still upset enough that my daughter said, Mom, I'll find a place to have it, and we canceled the event at our house. It's been really sad. It's been difficult. Let me get to the present. Well, on July 1st, the workers arrived. 3 months later, there was no need to be without all those plants that time. They've done a wonderful job. They've been there 8 days. It's a long time. really did a lot of work on our porch. I don't know our backyard, why there's so much, but they've done a good job and I'm thankful for that. Going forward, I have questions for this board and for the board in general. Who plans what's going to be planted there? Is it someone with some expertise? Who approves these plants? Will we be informed, or better yet, possibly be involved in this? Things have really changed around here since we've lived here. I went to the office thinking, well, I'll be prepared. Excuse me, I'm nervous, but I'll go look at the book of approved plants for Nepenthe. Well, Nirmal said there's no such thing. When we moved here, there was actually some camaraderie between owners and the landscape people. And often, if we needed some new plants in some area that was of need, we could tell them we'd like these, sometimes even buy them ourselves, and they would be planted. They don't have that book anymore. So I was going to come all prepared to tell you the plants I love that might work out there. But I guess that's a thing of the past now too. And yeah, it's been hard. I was encouraged to come here by a long-term member of this board, not anymore working, Linda Cook. She said, oh, Sue, you'll find some empathy if you go. Well, I didn't feel that confident I would, but I'm here and that's our story. Thank you.
So do you like what it looks like now?
There's nothing done.
Oh,
It's the same. It's exactly the same. No, the siding and fence people are there finally. It's exactly how it's been for 3 months.
So are they done with the siding?
Not yet, almost a couple days. It's been a long time. Also, I might say because of the 4th of July break of 4 days and the high heat, our backyard's suffering too. And we'll take care of that. But I'm wondering if some of my shrubs that are been there a long time are going to survive, you know, it being taken off the fence trellis. And so again, I say human beings live here. Thank you.
First of all, I'm so sorry that you and Marty have had such difficulty. I really mean it. Secondly, I don't think there's any question that Nepenthe could have done a better job in coordinating necessary shrub removal with siding projects. There's no question. And all we can say at this point is we're trying to do better as we move into phase 2. I would ask Christina as liaison to the board if she might offer some comment as well.
Sorry? Didn't hear that.
Any comments that might?
Well, I think the first question you asked was who decides on the plants? Correct, Sue? Well, that's Carson does that. So the board has given, and that happened maybe 2 years ago when we had the situation with the 17 trees that fell. At that point in time, there was the 17 stump remediations that had to happen. And that's when the board at that time decided to let Carson do the design and the selection of plants. And so that is how it has been continued, even for the new siding, for the siding project as well. And we do have a plant list on the website. We do have a Carson-approved plant list. So it might be a good idea for us to review that, Jim, because that was done in 2022. So perhaps in the meantime, we do have some other plants that we're using, which are water and tolerant and low maintenance as well. So maybe we might review that plant list as well. But that is the plant list that Carson is using and that was approved by the board back in 2022. I think you're right about the letting homeowners know in advance and giving them a bit more information. And this is, again, as Jim said, this is something we are working on, and to make sure this does not happen again. And also to ensure that some of the shrubs were removed a little too early. And so it didn't coincide with the siding phase as well, the siding. So, and again, that is something that we have to ensure does not happen again. There should be, so as we go into phase 2, which is starting beginning of August, so that is what we're going to be trying to implement.
Finally, there has been, as Christina mentioned, some informal discussion about revisiting the plant list or plant palette. That is kind of like sausage. You don't want to see it being made, but when it's done, it looks pretty good. And I would hope that we would have something to be able to take a look at and share. Either there is possibly an adjunct to the AB 1572 presentation next month or shortly thereafter, so that someone could get an idea about, as we go forward with remediation and replant, what the palette, and as a result over time, if there's going to be any evolution in look in the community, we'll get some feeling for that as mandated by state law. Again, apologies for any concerns.
Yeah, can you use the mic, please, that people on Zoom can't hear?
I just wondered who approved the demolition of our yard at that time, knowing the crew wouldn't be around for quite a while. They ought to be disciplined, I think. It was very, I appreciate your apology. I've never heard anyone apologize around here, so I appreciate that. But I'm still really concerned. I'd like you to consider, I know you had a lot of trees falling, we need a lot of remediation there, and there were some plants taken out there that really probably didn't need to be. But I'd encourage a situation like our own, that we be allowed to see this list and maybe work with Carson. So we're not going to take up a lot of time. I usually know what I like and don't like. I don't like a lot of the plants, to be frankly, I'm sorry, but I know we have to look at water use, and that's what my husband did when he was on the board. But I'm still really pissed off, excuse me.
We had a grounds vision document that we paid an architect to create. And it was a really good document, and it had a list of plants that the landscape architect gave us. And we subsequently have decided not to use that list whatsoever or pay attention, as far as I know, to those plans. I still have a copy of it at my house. And I'm wondering what happened. This has been going on since November, that people have not been notified. The third round of groups were not notified again. It's really just not fair to the homeowners. I'm sorry. I think we should take a look at that grounds vision document again.
I don't think it was the vision document. It was from Garth Ruffner, who gave us a plant list. Would that be correct?
Correct.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it wasn't the vision document, because don't want to use that word, because that was a different document. But this was Garth Ruffner, and I do remember, because that was just when Steve Huffman was the chair at the time.
Yeah, I was on
And I
the
believe,
grounds committee.
who was on the board? Were you on the board at the time?
Actually, you're incorrect.
Can you use the mic?
You are incorrect. He provided us with a vision document that was accepted. He did.
I don't
I
know
have it.
about that. I don't know.
I have it. The board adopted it. I gave a copy to Jim because I noted that the grounds committee wasn't following it. So it does exist. It's 2 pages. It's an update to the 2014 document. Jim has it.
I'm going to respond, and also I'm looking at my watch, but there's no question this has been a nettlesome issue. I would also suggest as we move into new conditions mandated by 1572, that we will see an evolution of the plant palette in some way, shape, or form, or confirmation. And as we said, the next step hopefully will be taking a look at a finished or suggested finished plant palette or list next month.
Well,
I-
excuse
I-
me,
I-
this is just
I'm
a
done.
second, sorry. This is beyond a plant palette, Jim. It's the direction that Garth gave the board that was adopted for what our community should look like.
Okay, and in response, that is a policy issue, and that is not subject to conversation and policymaking by this committee. So-
I'm not making it a policy. I'm saying that it was
Okay.
provided, it was to be followed. We as a grounds committee,
Okay,
we're
Mary,
supposed to follow it.
I'm not trying to interrupt, but that's kind of beyond our scope. And there's no reason why we can't continue the conversation. But at this point, I think we're just kind of retreading. Don,
Before we, Don Lansettle, Dunbarton Circle, and before we move on, I'd ask to speak. There's just a couple things. Near me, 210 Dunbarton, that the shrubbery was torn out way, excuse me, way earlier, and they're finally getting around to doing something about the siding. I remember the board a year ago, more than a year ago, speaking very strongly from the board. We will manage that. We will not let that happen again. We will coordinate the removal of shrubbery with the siding. Well, 2-3 months between shrubbery removal and siding work, I don't think that's very good coordination. Number two, Christina, you brought up the removal or the falling over of 15 or 17 trees and how that allowed the board to give Carson some freedoms in whatever those freedoms are. I understand how we got through that, but I think it's time that we stopped. You stopped, the board stopped using those trees falling over in that storm as, oh, this is why we do stuff. The responsibility of the board is to manage and supervise these things.
and Don, what I'm suggesting is that is something that would be taken to the board.
I would be
this
happy to. This came up at this point, so I have the
And
privilege,
what I'm
I
trying to
have the
do-
privilege of speaking to it.
Okay, Don, but what I'm saying is I don't want this to be a situation where we're herding cats. We've got a tremendous amount of work to do. The issues you raise are valid. The comments that Mary raised are valid. The question is this the best forum for that? And
They're on the record.
you got it. Hi, please give your name and phone.
My
An
name is
address?
Ann Pasek. I live over in Swarthmore. I moved here a couple of months ago. I love it in Nepenthe. Back in the 80s, I lived on the other side on Hartnell, and that was nice too. But I take a daily walk after dinner, and it's like strolling through a magical botanical garden, and I really appreciate that. I have noticed recently when I've been on my walks that, and I had a discussion with one of your members right before the meeting, so I understand it's already on an agenda that you have, and it's in the pipeline. But I noticed that there are a few homes that have a distance issue between the chimney and tree limbs. CAL FIRE recommends at least a 10 feet clearance. There's also an organization called the Chimney Institute that actually recommends 15 feet. And my understanding is that it varies somewhat from county to county in terms of how stringent they are. I moved here from El Dorado County, from the foothills. which is high fire risk area. So all of us were acutely attuned to anything having to do with fire, which is why I noticed it, 20 years ago, I wouldn't have noticed it, but it's just for those of us that live in those rural foothills areas, it's just a constant thing we have to think about. And of course, we have high density housing in here, so that makes it even more of a consideration. There was even one home I saw just night before last when it was cool enough to walk again, that there's a home on Dunbarton where there's a tree that's actually the homeowner's responsibility because it is inside the homeowner's patio. But there are many, many little twiggy branches that are about 3 inches from the top of the chimney and overlapping it, which I think is really frightening. So anyway, it's like I say, it's my understanding that this is something that your committee is already beginning to look into, and I applaud that. And I'll look forward to hearing any further information about it. So
Thank you for your comments. That is definitely something that's on the list and under consideration. There are several homes in our community where we do indeed have tree limbs intruding over or too close to chimneys. There's no question. There's also a situation where we have as a practice in terms of clearing the alleys with our air wands to blow duff and other debris up against the foundations. And if you take a look at some of the CAL FIRE considerations for elimination of fire hazard, particularly with a wood siding, keeping as much duff away from with a measure of 5 feet is something that is of interest. It's something that we will be talking about best practices here as we move through into the early fall. But thank you for your remarks. They're absolutely spot on. Okay. With that in mind, I'm going to ask the folks from Carson to talk about their report and then proposal. Oscar.
Good afternoon, everyone. So at this point, on July, we have the INF spray that is coming up, also the deep watering, and also we're doing some weed control applications. And due to the heat, sometimes we cannot really do that because the chemicals that we providing doesn't allow us to do that when it's a certain degrees. So this will be probably changing the dates on when we will do that. Also, probably you guys notice about the grass areas. We have some brown spots coming up on areas and some other ones that are kind of the same location, but some has like a root infested areas, and that's why they dry out quicker and don't let the grass to just really grow, same as the other ones that doesn't have that problem. Other than that, my crew just keeps working on doing the regular maintenance plus doing some pruning on each of those zones. At this point, I mean, we on track of every area that we did our second go around. Same as the alleyways, and keep up with the detail on each of those tennis courts and the clubhouses.
Are we going to have an opportunity to talk about your formal proposals that are at the table?
Yeah. Where we can start.
First handout, one that we got in the first email.
They should be in the same order that they're presented here, except the minutes are not there, but up here, but everything else should be in the same order.
So on this particular proposal, it's including zone 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and 7. On Vanderbilt, we have 1182, and on Elmhurst, we have 1323. Same is 108, 503 on zone 4, and also the Cabana. On these locations, description of the work, basically we will remove the grinds from those areas, install some topsoil blend, install new plants or ground cover depending on the area, install and adjust irrigation accordingly. So some of the areas have drips, some native and some are pop-ups. So depending on what they have, that's what we're gonna install in there or readjust. Also gonna install some welcome bark in some of those locations.
So for these, it's not specific to the house location where these plants are going. It's just a huge list and some addresses. So like if I lived at 1182 Elmhurst, I wouldn't know if I'm getting ivy or star jasmine or any of that.
If you go back to the
Oh, the pictures.
pictures on,
Okay, you're right. Okay, you're absolutely correct. So we pay a design fee? Who does that? Who designs this?
who designed those
Who's the
areas?
designer? Who's the designer for our
Basically,
community?
we have 3 people on Carson, myself, Nick Shiver, and Frank Carson, that we kind of take a look with what's in it. Depending on the location and the needs, that's where we come up with the plant material that is on the palette list. And if you take a look, those pictures, basically, they will show what's existing and what needs to be done.
Okay, that's an interesting point because also in your list, you have option A, which is a little over 6,000, and option B, which is a little over 2,000. Option A was included in the 24,000. And the only difference between option A and option B, other than $4,000, is it's seed versus sod. And since my understanding is we are in a bit of a cash crunch, and so it would seem like we would opt for option B because it's seeding and it will work versus paying $4,000 for sod. So I was just
Does
curious.
depend on the decision that you guys make. That's why I make the suggestions to be sod or seed.
Okay, but was the sod one already included in the
The sod is
24,000?
included on your first proposal. If you take a look the plant material list, it will also include how many rolls of sod is going to be or how many square footage are going to be on it.
Okay. So I could make a motion that we go for option B to save the community $4,000.
It's up to the board. The grounds, I don't
I don't
have
know,
a
how do we
choice
do
on
that,
it.
Jim? Because it's $4,000, so.
The question really is one of how effective will option B be versus option 1?
The effectivity is like right now, I cannot do seed. It will not grow and I will waste just a lot of water. So it has to be on a time that it can be done, probably like in August to do that.
What time of the year were you recommending?
August.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Got it.
So do you take into consideration also the temperatures? Because that affects, I'm hearing you know, how well it takes and what happens. So.
Correct.
So if to save $4,000, what month would you plant? What month would you put the seed in?
The seed
Really
in
write down these
August.
Questions. So can you please stop that? You already discussed it. I did not discuss it. I have not discussed it. I'm sitting here asking a question. Well, I wasn't
Folks, there
here.
are adults in the room. The question is, are we going to take a look, Oscar, at what time would be best if we decided
If you
to?
read the proposal, it will say base time to reseed turf areas is middle of August and middle of September. It says right on that proposal for this seed.
Okay, so if we want, if we were willing to go mid-August to mid-September, which isn't that far away, we could save $4,000, right?
That's why I put the proposal together.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So,
And any other questions at this point?
are we going to
comments?
approve this or should I make a motion to do
Let's
option
see if
B?
we have any other questions and then we'll entertain.
And this is more of a, I think it applies to most of them, and I'm new, so maybe you all know this. You just said, and I think you just said that this had already been reviewed and approved. So my question is, why are we looking at it again today?
There had been a call for a split out, understanding the relative costs and effort and efficiency of sod versus seed.
So we
Never
are,
been taken any further than that, Paula.
oh, okay. So there, because it confused me that there was money, not confused me, but I was curious. There were dollars attached to it. So I'm going, well, are we telling, by approving this, are we telling the board that we agree with the work and the dollars?
What we're agreeing to is a scope of work. And while it's fairly obvious in this particular example,
Uh-huh.
as Mary points out, there are dollars that can be saved. And it would be our committee's option to say we are recommending to the board
Uh-huh.
that you pursue option B,
Uh-huh.
the least expensive.
Yeah.
And that's as far as we would take it.
But, okay, so here's a question. In the packet, it says, under some of these items, it says, what's been proposed, grounds decision, yes. So the decision has been made.
It's his own situation.
So
This is
I guess I don't understand why we're voting again.
because, well, I'm going to try to answer that very quickly and then
Yeah.
we'll move on.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, there's an initial zone walk with a homeowner request or some kind of request that has come down the pipe.
Mhm.
Stewards, experts from either house, chair, liaison, walk the site and come up with a scope of work recommendation. Okay? That then comes back, if we approve that scope of work concept, then we go to formal proposal. And that's been done. And at this point, Oscar has come back and put some numbers to that whole process. And that we, at this point, unusually have the option of making an alternative choice with roughly the equivalent result, if we're a little flexible in our calendar. Good point. And so it is now our option to approve and/or not. And I believe we have a motion
Wait,
to-
I forgot. And I apologize, as I'm new to this committee and I'm trying to follow through all the, and Oscar's helping by pointing out their pictures, so I read and look at pictures, I get a lot of information. But there was one here at 212 Dunbarton, that when I went out, I didn't have a chance to look at most of these because I got this too late. But this one, all the work has been done by Carson. You put in all the bark and all the plants and everything, and you do the design. So I'm not understanding why we are paying for something that maybe, you should fix because it's your design.
So if you take a look at the picture, the area that we work was on 212 from the walkway towards the house.
Yeah.
This proposal to put the fabric barrier and the rock is actually on the opposite side where the ivy is. That was not included on the first go around of the renovation. Basically, the problem on this erosion was on the other side of the sidewalk, not on the work that I did.
That, sorry. It confused me because that's actually down below the sidewalk. So I couldn't figure out how dirt could be running over the sidewalk.
It's because it comes from the top of the sidewalk, runs either when it rains or whatever, water comes down and goes down to that, basically that edge of the sidewalk, and the soil basically erodes and gets into the asphalt.
Okay, at this point, what we're going to do, remember, Mary, there has already been an on-site twice. And comments from liaison.
I just wanted to point out that this proposal was actually homeowner landscape requests. These were all from landscape requests. And 212 Dunbarton, the one that you're referring to, there's actually a separate proposal
Standalone.
for that. And one of the reasons we separated it is because the two zone stewards at the time were a little unsure as to whether or not this would solve the problem, and this problem is occurring throughout the community as well. So Oscar might, I think you had a suggestion, Oscar, but the zone stewards were not present when this was discussed last month or 2 months back. But these are all homeowner landscape requests. These are
And
not.
that particular section has its own proposal for approval.
But it was also included in this one.
No, it's not.
I have it listed in this one. So, I mean, the picture of it is in this one. That's why I asked.
The picture is probably is, but is not included on that.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, because we're talking about it.
Okay, at this point, let's, would you like to move
Sure.
for
Okay.
option B?
For option B, yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve using option B to save our community $4,000.
Can we see all the areas that would be, or is it just this one area? It's the whole, everything.
There's two. You want to see?
I'm looking at
Oh,
the.
Okay, I need a second, and then we can go to final conversation. Will somebody give me a second?
Because I was confused because in May, I think it was many places that it was going to be seed or turf, right? Are these or sod? And these are the same locations that we looked at in May, right? But it was more than one or two.
I think what we were trying to do is on this, for this particular proposal, is to look at it in a different way, I suppose, some of these areas that are requiring seed or sod, and really looking at the grounds committee to review this and to say, should this be done now, bearing in mind that AB 1572 is coming up? So that we're trying to sort of step outside the box of saying whether we recommend this or not, but just to look at the area and say, is this something we want to do? Because in case we have to remove the turf down the line. So I think that would be very useful to hear on some of them, perhaps. So I think, Diane, you did look at something at 1182, for instance, and I think you came back with some comments. So I think we're trying to just for this particular area, which is homeowner landscape requests, there are some which are very pertinent that really need to be done, but some which are requesting turf remediation, I suppose, is where we might want to look at that a little bit more carefully and say, how do you want to move forward on that from the grounds committee viewpoint so that we can discuss it at board level?
I'm just saying, it seems like we're voting now on price, and if it's only two areas.
It's not two
4,000.
areas.
It's not two areas.
Yeah, it's all.
Colby Tour, University 1461, and Vanderbilt 1182.
Zone 6.
Oh, is that one included as well?
Yes,
That's a huge area.
that's a huge.
So that's worth the money.
That's a huge area, but that does, not include turf.
Thanks.
Yeah, but it doesn't include turf. That's the difference.
Oh, it's not that one.
It's not for turf.
So what I'm hearing is that we could just subtract out the turf? Is that what I'm hearing and take the whole amount? I mean, Teresa, am I getting confused?
The turf on the first proposal is not including no seed, no turf. That's why you have the option A and B that has the seed and has the turf. I separate those ones for a reason. That way you can choose seed or sod and not disturbing with the first proposal that is plant material.
So is it A, B, or C? That's my question. 'Cause
No.
Somebody brought up that, should we do it at all? Because
A and B, or you need to choose on the A and B for turf or seed and the proposal for the planting.
I'm almost feeling like we're jumping the gun before we even looked at the picture.
You
see what we're voting.
need to use the mic.
Sorry, I just felt like we were jumping the gun because we hadn't even looked at the pictures yet to see what we're voting on. So,
Should be the picture
Doesn't-
for those areas.
but I think these are the ones that we looked at in May.
My understanding is our previous vote was initiated because frankly, I think I suggested that the board maybe reconsider their previous policy of not remediating turf as a response to their fears about what might come as a result of 1572. So at Grounds Committee meeting, we reconsidered that and thought, yeah, maybe we should be taking care of it since 1572 doesn't really come into real action until 2029. So one argument was, are we going to let these blemishes proliferate until then? And what would that say? What would that do to the impression of our community? So that initial vote was to say, yes, let's consider remediating these blemishes. And at the time, the opinion was that it should be remediated with sod. But initially in the discussion, I said, yeah, but seed would be more economical. But the recommendation was to go with sod. Evidently, this is my understanding, I was not there. Evidently, the board took into consideration that there might be a different way. And I'm assuming they requested that Oscar give proposals for both forms of remediation. So he's giving us the two options here. And it's the same places that we were considering at the time. That's no different, but we're getting more information with this report. Is that fair?
So Teresa, my only hesitation is watching in front of Don Elwinger's house for a year. They had dying grass and twice they tried to seed it and it didn't take. So eventually they had to put in sod anyway. So it was kind of a waste of money putting in the seed. So that's my only hesitation.
My understanding is there's still an option by the board to say, nope, we're not going to act on this until we get more secure about what will happen with 1572. That's also an option, if I'm not misunderstanding.
One of the things, so this is screen.
Yes.
One of the things that we discussed back in May, we were talking about the differences between sod and between seeding. And also those proposals are the new water restrictions. We've got homeowners here who have a patch, maybe it's 4 foot by 2 foot, a little area right in the middle of the front of their house that we talked about. It would probably take 3 feet of sod and it would take. We start talking about, this is what we talked about in May. We talked about seeding it, watering it. If the watering is not coming from the long things, then there's going to be a problem with that also. So that, to me, I thought we had already decided on this. We had already decided on those little areas that were going to be either sodded or seeded. And we decided on the sod because seed does not always work, especially with the higher temperatures that we're talking about now. You're talking August, September. I'm thinking October.
I can't imagine you would have proposed seed unless you thought you could successfully plant it.
That's why I put a reason in there, the months that needs to be done.
Just one note, with AB 1572 coming along, as Teresa mentioned, it's going to be 5 to 6 years before the city, who ultimately will be responsible for implementation, will be coming down with regs that have any teeth in them. Meanwhile, are we going to sit and let bad situations get worse? So with that in mind, if in fact we have an option that Oscar is proposing that takes advantages of saving a couple of $1,000s, then I second Mary's motion. And with that in mind, if there's no further discussion, I'd like to call for a vote. All those in favor?
Seeding?
So we got 1,
Abstain.
2, 3, 4, 5. Motion carries.
Is there no? Any no's?
Yeah.
I'm abstaining.
I'm a no.
Diane's a no, and Jean's an abstention.
Sorry?
Jean's an abstention, Diane's a no. I would just say parenthetically to Diane, if in fact seating will not take, like in front of Don's place, there's always a way to come back and find sod. If you do your best, or it turns out this, the best intentions of mice men and landscape contractors doesn't work, we can always reserve the right to come back and revisit.
I just want to clarify that I just did his home one time and it's working. So I'm not sure if they did it before, but I did it only once.
It was probably Coast when they started seeding. Remember, Don, that
And-
your house, they tried to seed it a couple times and it didn't take? That was probably Coast.
And Don can say if it looks good or not.
Yeah. Oh, I know the
Look-
sod
it
looks
It
great.
looks great. From the ag background I have, of course, hindsight's always 20/20. There was a lot of hardpan in there, as he knows. And I think I think it could have been seeded, but I think the labor costs would have probably exceeded what it costs to pull that out and put sod in.
Okay.
Don, I believe Coast tried to seed it a couple times and it didn't take.
Well,
Yeah,
in my
anyway.
opinion with Coast, that ground needed to be ripped. And they weren't doing that. And when Oscar got involved, we looked at it, and because of the ground and it's such a small area, you're not going to spend all the labor to go in and, rip a small piece of ground like
Yes.
that for seed. The cost-effective thing to do was to pull out the grass and put sod down. And that's what they did, and go by my house. It looks great. Thank you.
Okay, next up would be Zone 5 Vanderbilt Way. 1083, 95, 1325, 1329.
Is this number 3? This of the, which one are we on here?
Still on 5, right? Teresa, which one?
No.
Oh, here.
Yeah. Which, there's like,
Oh, I don't know.
yeah.
I'll let.
Anyway, I'm sorry. Confused.
Can we just, let's just.
I don't remember that one.
These are all Carson.
This is the one.
These are all what I'm calling.
This one is 212 Dunbarton Circle. Berry Rock. There it is right there. Oscar, any comment?
This particular home, like I said, is 212 Dumbarton. So we was gonna remove some of the soil from the planter bed by the sidewalk. It will be approximately 50 feet, and we're gonna do fabric and do a Berry Creek rock. So that way the fabric acts like a filter, and same as the rock, so that way avoids the soil to erode and goes to the asphalt to the other side.
Is there a picture for that one? Yeah. Oh. That one. Okay, thank you.
It's to the left of the house, right, Oscar? Where that light post is, isn't that
Correct.
Any questions or comments?
Why does that one say board decision? Does that mean that this committee has not recommended it or reviewed it?
That was because the zone stewards were not present at the time when this was reviewed. And my understanding that, Oscar, is this correct, that this situation is actually happens in quite a number of areas because of the slope?
Correct. We have the same problem in other locations.
Yeah, and so that's why the question.
So at this point,
So, this was a homeowner request directly to the board? Is that what it was?
Homeowner request.
Okay. So not walked. All right.
could I have a motion from someone?
Pass this proposal?
Okay, do I have a second? All those in favor? Aye. Mary, your aye?
I'm just going to abstain. I don't know enough about it, so.
I can't vote on something I don't understand.
Okay, so we have 5 and 2 abstentions. Okay. Yes, who had the first? Okay, Jean. Second was Diane. Okay. Next step will be zone 5, or what do we have up, Jay?
Is this the part 2?
Zone 2 and 6? Okay,
Oh, it's still back on the other.
Are these homeowner requests or are these from the zone?
This looks like it's a remediation.
These are all tree remediation sites, so.
Oscar, again, any comments? As we look
No,
at
basically it was the one that I
remediation site.
explained on it. It was the one that I just explained first.
See the pictures? Scroll down. Yeah, just scroll.
Pictures. We approved.
Yeah, we've approved it, but I mean, that's fine. You just make,
Okay, slow down. Let's see.
you just want to see.
Okay.
They just want to see.
So Don, we saw all these.
That's the birch trees, that's different. You can just make a motion.
Yeah.
So again, Oscar, you have a team of 3 that makes the design decisions on these tree remediation sites, is that correct?
Not always, because I have like 35 years of experience on this, and I've been working with your
Oh, so
community
most-
plus
mostly
other
it's
ones.
you? I was just.
And the reason that some of these ones doesn't need any of that is because we will do either a specific of a tree or specific of ground cover or from the palette of the plants that we already have.
So quick question. So a lot of times when trees are gone, houses have intense sun that they didn't have before, or they've lost privacy. So are the homeowners ever asked if it matters to them if they get a tree back due to shade concerns or privacy concerns?
Don, talk
Like
to
on
them.
this particular ones,
I'm just asking. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
know.
I'm telling you
oh,
the answer.
okay.
That Dawn knew from Ashley what she wanted, we accommodated her on this one.
Okay. I was just, it's more generic.
Plus also at the same of the time that we're gonna do any trees, Paul, he will also gets involved on what type of trees that goes in there. So he's agreeing on the tree part and I'm agreeing on the other part of the renovation.
So Ashley had yes, but are there other,
It's not
Pardon?
Ashley's, this is Julie's. 13.
so did Julie want a tree? I know she wanted Sac Tree Foundation to put a tree in. So she wanted a tree.
She wants a tree.
And it says also magnolia.
So is she getting a tree?
Up there on the right.
Yeah, but that's a plant
saucer
saucer magnolia. Is that a tree, Paul?
Yes.
Is it a dwarf or is it a, what kind of tree is it?
It's a tree that is a, I would say, in the medium size range. You're in that top height, potentially 25, 30 feet, if it's
Oh, okay,
depending on growing conditions.
thanks.
Other questions? Again, looking for a motion.
I make a motion to approve.
Don has made a motion to approve.
I second that motion.
Diane is second. All of those who approve? Again, Mary. Paul. Jean. Diane, Jim. Oh, we've got a unanimous. Okay,
So now how long does it take before we actually see you plant the tree?
It now goes to the board at the August meeting, and that's when we review this in August.
one of the reasons we're moving through this mound of work is to make sure that this gets up to the board meeting in August for action. So we've got a heavy load. It's because my bad for allowing us to meet last month or asking forgiveness for that. But we're on the home stretch. We've got 2 more comments from Carson, then we've got we have several trees and Paul's going to help us with that. So I believe we're on zone 5.
No, we just finished zone 5. 2 and 6. This one here.
Got it.
We've just done 2, 6, 1, 3, 4. So this one, too? No?
Yeah, we're on 2-6.
Yeah.
Did we order, what happened to Swarthmore, 2 and 6? That was the next one up. That's the one that's, that one. Yeah, that was the next one. Who's following in Teresa's order?
Is this the right one?
2 and 6, are we on that? Are we on 2 and 6?
I thought that's,
Well, I do. It is the next one. Would you stop making comments about me talking? Well, you're just talking about me. Please stop.
Zones 2 and 6, Swarthmore Drive.
22, 36, 42, 43, 64, 65. Okay. Again, Oscar, please, it is remediation. I know some of it may be repetition, but if there are any special things that, stand out to you, would you please comment?
So pretty much in this area also gonna do some removal of the grinds, soil installation, new plants, or ground cover, depending on the area. Same as the adjustment on installation of the irrigation. A corner leaf is strip, native FMO pop-ups, installing some Wacom bark, and also relocating some moss rocks at 408 Elmhurst, and install and reorganize Cabo Rock on the 2265 Southmore Drive. We're also gonna do some grind superficial roots from the area where it needed, and remove some small stumps that were needed to be removed. So you're gonna see the plant material list that is there. So it includes ivy, asparagus, danialas, unanimous petalums, little johns, magnolia trees, topsoil, welcome bark, sod. It's a small section of sod that is 45 feet, and the moss rocks and some bottle cobble rock, black humus, irrigation parts, and fluctuation and down feeds. So if you take a look at the pictures, you will see where the sod, small section of sod are going.
Any question or comment? Teresa?
If I'm looking at the materials list right now, and it says that at the bottom rectangle, 1 3x3 moss rock is listed, but if you look at the photo below for, where's that big hole, Diane? There it is. At 2665 Swarthmore,
Correct.
the decision is for 2 moss rocks. But I think that spot probably only needs 1.
The reason that I installed just one, because a 3x3, it basically kind of, I mean, it's a big one that makes a difference between the other ones. Because if I place 2 small ones, it doesn't make sense. I can do 2 with this money, no problem, but it's going to be small. But on my experience, the bigger one is going to look better. It will give you a better view. And we're going to reorganize all the cobble rock that is around. Basically, first of all, we're going to remove the grinds and level the area. Because if you take a look at the area right now, someone can just trip hazard because they not level through the sidewalk, like going like on a 45. They're just right in there.
Okay, thank you for the explanation.
Time for motion. Can I please have someone offer a motion?
Diane?
offer a motion to accept. Can you use the mic? I offer a motion to accept the proposal.
A second. All those in favor? And Jean's not in the room, so I think it's, what have you got? 3?
6?
Oh, I voted yes. Sorry, my hand's up.
6?
All right.
Oh,
motion carries.
here she comes. Is she making a?
Jean, did you,
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
So I had to get some water.
we just took a vote on this proposal.
Yes, Swarthmore, I can let the zone stewards
Okay, it's
do that
unanimous.
Swarthmore.
Okay, so on to the next. Zone 3, 1, 4, okay. Again, Oscar, if you would offer, again, it's remediation, but anything stands out here?
Yeah, and this particular one, it was also noticed that on Zone 4, 308 Dumbarton Circle and 108 Dumbarton, it requires some of the remediation due to the fact that I was working on the area with the pink renovation and the previous renovation that we did. Basically, I did the work with those, on this case, the first 108 is done. The 308 is gonna get done when I'm on the pink area. So that's why I did not include this two, because I was available to do that work with that. So on this particular one, basically just the same. I can read it over if you guys want.
Is this still tree remediation? Yes. Okay. Well, this is just, so when you plant a 15-gallon flowering magnolia, how big is that?
Time of planting?
Yeah.
Like at this point, some of those ones are approximately like 8 feet.
8 feet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Especially when you put them in the ground, it goes lower.
Makes sense, yeah.
Again, are there any further questions? I'm going to call for a motion. Okay, it's my turn. I vote to accept. I vote to accept the proposal. Need a second? Jean, a second. All those in favor? Aye. Unanimous. And we're on to the final Carson. For zone 5, or have we already?
Just finished the final Carson.
Got it?
Now we're on trees.
You made it. Thanks, Scott. Sir.
It's my turn.
And so now,
Did you guys have any questions for me? Because I have to go to sleep. I haven't slept for a day and a half because I was just coming back from Mexico with a delay, so I'm tired.
okay. Welcome back, I guess. Hope you had a good time. Wonderful. Okay, Paul, you're up.
Okay. All right. I wanted to address the zone walks coming up for zones 5, 6, and 7. We are pushing into summer, and with the impacts to the schedule getting into the fall months, I would like to walk zones 5 and 6. Zone 5 on July 30th and Zone 6 on July 31st. We can have a meeting location to be determined, but it'd be a 9 o'clock walk for both those zones. And what's that?
Change the date for zone 5?
Yeah, we're just because we're starting to get into the end of the year crunch time, and our crew schedule is 60 to 90 days booked in advance. So by the time we get the approval for these zones, we're going to be scheduling this work in September. If we're lucky, potentially October. So to make sure that we can get through all these zones before the end of the year, we need to look at walking zones 5 and 6 in the end of July and zone 7 at the end of August, so that we can get these on our work schedule in advance of the end of the year, so we don't run up into the holidays and be at
Again,
a
the
crunch
dates.
time. Zone 5 for July 30th, Zone 6, July 31st, Zone 7, August 26th.
The location.
Yeah, yeah. And just kind of a quick update, I did want to address your concern about the clearance issues. we strive to maintain a 6 to 8 foot clearance over the roofs in Nepenthe. And a lot of that is depending on the type of tree, where the tree is in location to the home and the size of the limb or tree part that's overhanging the home. So we do our best to maintain the health of the tree and still maintain those clearances. A lot of times too, we're also pruning at one time a year, and in this time of year, we're kind of peak growing season and trees may have pushed back into that clearance area. So, I always want to make sure that folks know that they can reach out to the office, let the office know where there may be a clearance issue, and the tree crews do come out and we will prune that. There's no additional cost to the HOA for us to come out to readdress a clearance issue for the homes. So I just wanted to make sure that we're addressing your concern on the chimney clearance and roof clearance and building clearance.
Yes.
I do the same walk every night, so there are areas I haven't seen, but.
Yeah,
I've seen at least 10 just in my.
yeah,
Before fall gets here, when people start using their fireplaces, it could get really scary.
oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
So again, like I said, if there are these locations, feel free to make a note of that to office, and we'll have crews go back out and readdress some of these areas. We're happy to do that. I do want to say also, when we're looking at the ground up, those levels can be deceiving as well. And again, there are some cases where the tree part that is over the roof is it would be more detrimental to the tree to remove that part of the tree. And at that point, we would have to be looking into potential removal. There are some trees that we're going to cover on the 2 reports here that may have some clarification on that as
Okay.
well.
Let's move on to your letter and proposal of June 10.
Okay, so we walked zone 3, and we'll start with zone 3. Zone 3, I did identify 3 trees for removal. This is a birch tree at 2310 and a birch tree at 605, 2310 Swarthmore, 605 Dunbarton. Both these birch trees, if you want to skip ahead to the pictures, because we like the pictures. There we go. There's our birch tree. There's birch tree is at 2310 Swarthmore. The tree is in process of dying. There is significant fungal growth developing from the base of the tree all the way up that decaying stem. Birch trees are not long-lived species, and this one is ready to be removed. So I'm recommending removal of this tree as well as the birch tree at 605 Dunbarton. So there's a photo of the area of decay on the trunk. And then this is the tree at 605. And you can see the fungal growth up the trunk of the tree. The other removal is a locust tree, and this tree is located 501 Dunbarton Circle. You can see the part that I circled on there is one of the main scaffolding limbs. So you can see this tree has 3 main scaffolding limbs. And there's not much canopy really on this tree. The majority of the tree leans over the road, and this particular scaffold limb, from that point of attachment about 8 feet up, has a lot of the bark has deteriorated, and the inner portion of the wood has been exposed. So this is a compromised limb, and I believe if we're to remove that limb, there's really not much canopy left on this tree. The way that it leans over the road, this tree, I feel, isn't a good candidate for a removal. It's a locust.
You think the lifespan is bad or just the way it's growing? Can you use,
It-
sorry.
You think that it's old, or is it just the way it's growing is dangerous?
Both. Both. It's, you know, a lot of some of these trees in our community, there are different lifespans per tree species. Not all tree species have the same longevity. And some of them grow fast and some grow slow. And depending on light competition and what's planted around it can all play a part in a tree's success and lifespan.
And
And
do you remember if the zone steward agreed with you on these
yes,
recommendations?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I walked with Jolene at the time. Yeah. And so the next part of the report, so those were our 3 removals. The next part of the report is going to be focused on many of the faster growing varieties of trees in the community, all of which we're going to address for weight reduction. This helps to reduce the potential for limb failure. There is no other term better to describe limb failure. You cannot prevent limb failure. It is to reduce potential limb failure. So pruning trees for weight reduction helps to reduce the potential for limb failure. Our fast growing trees like this red oak pictured at 101 Dunbarton Circle is a tree that we'd like to reduce the canopy to help with that reduction in potential limb failure. And we can move on to our next tree.
Paul?
Yeah, that was a tree picture. Yes.
So I have zone 3 now.
Can you
Okay.
Can you use the mic?
Yeah.
Just to-
Oh, okay, I have zone 3 now, so when you walked, end of March, the committee was kind of, not there. So, can you identify, so when you did zone 3, you had level A and level B trees. I don't know what level A and level B are, like what the difference is.
Right.
So could you explain that? And when, like, if you're talking, is this like a level A or a level B? Do you? I have every opportunity to ask all the questions I want. That's fine. I'm new.
So this tree is going to fall in the level A priority. Level A would be trees that we feel are the highest priority, and trees that we've identified as the most likely to have large failure and or cause severe property damage.
So, okay. And then what's B?
B would be, I mean, similar in scope, but maybe less likely to cause severe property damage.
Okay. So just for my benefit, since this is
Yes.
zone 3, and I know we're all voting, but I feel like I'm kind of representing that zone now.
Sure.
Can you tell me when you go through whether they're level A or B?
Sure.
Thank you.
So this next tree is, we should be on figure 7. Yep, so liquid ambers. This is item number 3 on the priority A pruning. These 2 liquid ambers, these trees have had limb failures in the past. So these are trees that we do monitor every year. They were pruned last, I believe, in 2022. So we're going to do another round of canopy reduction through these trees to help reduce further limb failure. Due to the proximity to the home, there's a high likelihood that limb failure could strike and damage the home.
So it's an A.
Yes. We have this large live oak that I'm sure everybody's familiar with because it's right over there on the corner. This tree is a very vigorous grower, a very full and healthy canopy. We want to continue to keep this tree happy and healthy. And so we're going to we're recommending weight reduction pruning throughout the canopy of the tree. This tree is in the level A priority. The two main scaffolding limbs have a major included bark section. This is something that we've been monitoring for years, been caring for this tree since 2016. And so helping to reduce weight through the canopy is going to help reduce that potential for that attachment to have a failure.
So A.
So this was an A. So our next tree is a Chinese elm. This is in level B area. Again, pruning the tree for weight. This has been another very vigorous growing tree. I just believe due to the location, it's got a really great sun exposure, a lot of water because of the turf. So it's going to put on a lot of growth quickly. And so we want to manage that growth and prune it to prevent limb failure. So this is level B. These are ash trees. This is 205 Dunbarton Circle. Again, these are trees that we want to manage that upper canopy. And there's, they're very limited pruning that we need to do just because of the way that these trees have developed. But we do want to make sure that we're managing that growth out there on the ends because most of the weight is in the wood of those limbs. And if it continues to get really heavy away out there on the very far ends of those branches, we want to help reduce a limb failure. And because of the proximity to the alleyway and homes, this falls in our level A category.
Okay. Can I just ask a question? Were they pruned to have all that leaf at the top, or is that the way they grow?
That's the way they've developed over the years.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, liquid amber, and this again, is this figure 9? Should be figure 9.
More.
Oh, sorry. Nope, never mind. Item 9, I'm sorry, figure 11. I was you were in the right spot. I wasn't. Okay, again, liquid amber. Again, these are trees that we experience quite a number of limb failure issues. So again, managing canopy weight to reduce that potential. Again, this is going to be in the A category due to the high potential for limb failure during the species and where it's located over the road. This is figure 12. Okay, figure 12. These are tulip trees. These are located at 2320 Swarthmore. Again, canopy weight, due to the proximity of homes on either side of these trees, we want to manage canopy weight to reduce the potential for limb failure. These are in A. And we have a redwood codominant top. It's in the circle off to the left-hand side there. You can see that codominant in there. These are growth that we've been managing over the past couple of years to reduce the potential for these redwood tops to split out. So this is level A pruning. And then this is pistache. Okay. 901, 903 Dunbarton, the 2 pistache trees. Again, we were going to be doing some canopy weight reduction at this location. These are level B pruning area.
Excuse me, Paul.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry. So those in the previous picture seem to have more overhanging a house than some of the liquid ambers in a couple slides before didn't really have anything overhanging a house, but are the liquid ambers more likely to fail?
The liquid ambers have a higher likelihood and are more prone to limb failure than the Chinese pistache. All trees can experience limb failure. The liquid ambers have a higher tendency of limb failure.
Okay.
And this particular location is a tricky location to prune in. So I'll just leave it at that. But we do want to manage some canopy weight on those trees because we get limited sometimes with what we're able to do at that particular site. And then our last level A is the Silcova tree. This is at 1113 University Avenue. And again, reducing canopy weight, those in weight on those branches to help prevent limb failure. And we have one last liquid amber. This one fell into the B category because it's well enough away from any of the homes. Its potential failure location would be either in that greenbelt area, potentially along the walkway. But again, it does have a pretty healthy, heavy canopy, so we want to reduce weight in that tree as well. That should be it for zone 3.
We took questions as we went. So I guess if absent any further comment,
I just, well, I guess it was answered. I have one, no, I don't have a, whoops, sorry. I don't have a comment. I just, well, I'll just wait. I was going to make a motion, but I'll wait. Somebody else may have comments.
could I please have a motion from someone?
I do a motion. So my motion is to approve all level A pruning in zone 3.
In theory, I agree with Mary. I'm just concerned about like the last one. Overhanging a walkway to me is also dangerous, so I'm kind of on the fence on that one. On the level Bs that are overhanging a walkway, because that could hurt somebody too. So does anybody else have any thoughts about that?
I have a thought, given the total cost, the Plan B, or what you would call priority B, does not significantly, in my mind, increase the total cost. And it does cover 4 trees that need help. And I would be adverse to just approving priority A. Now, at this point, Mary has a motion on the floor. Do we have a second? All right. So Paula has a second. So now we will go to vote. All those in favor of Mary's, raise your hands. We have 2. All those opposed? 3, 4. So the motion to,
I abstained on that one.
okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4 with,
I'm abstaining.
Oh.
so we have 1, 2, 3. So we have 2 abstentions and a no. So the motion does not carry. If I understand this correctly. All right, let's try again. Do we have a motion to carry priority A?
So you're
And
saying
we have a second.
only A.
Only A,
Okay.
and we have a second. Yes, we are.
Okay, only A. Yeah.
Okay, we have 1, 2. I will vote 3. I want to see work done where it's really needed, which is priority A. If I can't get B, I'll come back another day. So 3 yes. Are there no's? Are there extensions?
No.
Apparently we have confusion. Okay, what is your question?
It's the exact same thing, A, or it's A and B.
Correct. A and B did not carry.
We didn't do that.
Oh, I'm
We
very
only did
confused.
A.
Okay, let's start all over again. Mary has motioned priority A trees only. Paula has seconded. Could I please have a vote of those who approve that motion? And 1, 2,
Zone A being done.
Yeah, A.
priority A. Okay. So we have two. We have noes or nays. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So the motion did not carry. All right, now, I have moved that we accept the proposal as made with work done on priority A and B.
Can you clarify? Is this all the tree that,
Yes, it's A and B.
okay, so only A is a
Did
separate,
not carry.
right? I understand that. Okay,
yeah,
that's what
so
okay, that was
no,
my
we're good.
understanding.
No, we're
Okay,
good. We're
sorry.
good.
Okay, I just wasn't.
Okay, all those in favor of the proposal as written, which includes remediation and removal, priority A and priority B. Please raise your hands if you agree. We have 3, 4, 5. The proposal carries. Apologies from the chair for muddling through. It's my bad. Paul, you've got the second one up?
That's the proposal for that one. Yes, July 2nd.
In the interest of time, can I say something before he makes his presentation? And it may not affect it, but I would like to say something.
Please.
I am a new person on the committee and I'm in zone 4. And your walk, I understand, took place after I was appointed, but I did not know about it. And so was not invited to do it. And I am very interested in participating in the discussion, but I just received the information late Tuesday night. And there's like 16 trees in here. And I probably don't have a problem with your report. It's very well done and I read it, but I have questions and I'm going to ask respectfully for this committee to put this over. I hate to put it over for a month, but you mentioned Jim mentioned in an email that we might do a special meeting to deal with the documents. So I'm respectfully asking this committee, oh, also, here's another issue is that if he's only doing zone walks once a year, I basically missed my zone. So this is my cut at the apple, you know what I'm saying? So I'm respectfully asking this committee to put this one over. I can probably get I have a lot of questions and I can probably get them answered in a very short time. But I just feel that I would like to participate in that because I'm a new zone steward. So that's my request. So I can make a motion for that and then we can vote it up or down. And then if the committee chooses, whatever the committee chooses, if they choose it not to approve my motion, then you can go through your whole thing. But I was doing this in the interest of time. I'll make the motion. Can we put this over?
Before you do that, point of note, any backup meeting that we do will be done, within the week or two to clear all of this paperwork. So
Say that word. I didn't hear what you said. What?
if we cannot finish Paul's report tonight, then it will carry to a follow-up meeting, which will occur shortly.
Right.
Okay.
I'm asking if
within a matter of days,
Next week.
next week. This is not going to be a deferral for a month. Okay.
I don't understand what you're saying. What?
What I'm saying is that we announced last meeting that and the email is that if we cannot finish all of the evaluations in action
Oh.
on all of the proposals,
Okay, well, I didn't get that email.
it was in June's memo out to all of us. So anyways, the point is, how comfortable are we running with Paul's report as prepared? Unfortunately, without Paula's participation or involvement. Now, I would ask Paul, when you made the walk, who was present with you?
I walked this zone without, I did this zone myself.
Okay.
And again, going back to how we opened up the meeting because of the delays that we've had with the grounds committee meetings and walks to keep with schedule. I felt that it was something that needed to continue to keep moving forward.
Paul, there's going to be a real difficulty in deferring this for a month. Just from.
Well, that's fine. I mean, and it's not any prejudice on
Oh,
Paul
no.
or on any person here, but I'm feeling strongly that would like to make this point and feel free to vote my motion down.
Well,
Okay.
you didn't make your motion yet. And were you asking for a whole month or were you asking?
Well, I was asking for as much as for time. And I was saying I could do this in a week, in a few days, but I don't want to drag all you people back if that's something that's going to cause problems. And I remembered that you had mentioned in an email that you might have to schedule a special meeting for us to do the documents thing, the number 9.
If that were the case, that will take 5 minutes for distribution. The key is if we were not able to complete
Mhm.
these final pieces of work from the contractors.
Mhm, mhm.
All right. At this point, if you wish to make a motion,
Okay, go
Oh,
ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm confused, Paula. Is this something you want to walk yourself? Or you want to ask Paul questions about each tree and then the pictures? I mean, I'm willing to wait while we look at each picture right now. Or are you more comfortable doing the walk?
I haven't even had the chance to go. It's 16 trees. I'd like to go out. I was very lucky to go with Paul and Teresa on a zone 1 walk, and it was very informative. I don't know that I want to have Paul come out and hold my hand. I can walk around the neighborhood because the narrative explains what you want to do. I would like some time to do that.
well,
Um,
I would just suggest back to you that if in fact he has a complete explanation with photos, that's not a bad alternative to walking by yourself. Now, if you want to put a motion on the floor.
mhm, I do,
okay,
yes.
there is a motion on the floor to defer.
Primarily, and I'll tell you, I'm going to be very honest. And like I said, I'm new and I'm learning and I've learned a lot today and I really appreciate it. I'm just very disappointed that I was on the committee and was not part of the walk. And I,
Actually, the walk was done, I believe, before for Zone 4. So on June 20th, he inspected the trees. And
Right.
so you were, I think the board met when did we appoint? We appointed you in July, wasn't it?
no, it was June.
June, what date did we appoint
5th.
you?
It was the
June
board meeting of June 5th because Teresa and Jim sent out an email on June 13th telling
Yeah.
me I was on zone 4.
Right. No, yeah, I'm getting a little confused with the dates.
Can be, is this possible that you are appointed, but your term begins at the fiscal year, which would be July 1st? Is that correct?
No,
I'm
no,
just trying to
it's-
find a reason.
it's not.
Yeah, I'm sorry this is taking so long. I'm not trying to belabor the point. I'm letting you know. I'm asking for a continuance. If that's not possible, then you vote how you vote. And my motion is, I'd like to put it over.
Do I have a second? From Mary. All those in favor? We have,
Oh,
you got to support your own. Come on now.
surprised.
There's 3, 4, 5. Abstention. All right, so the motion passes. And I'm not sure exactly how we proceed with a deferral. How difficult will this make it for you, or how soon would you be available to assist or facilitate?
Well, you guys let me know when you want to have the next meeting and we can present it then. It's not a problem for me.
Question, was Paula saying that there was a,
Can you use the mic?
was Paula saying that there was a possibility that she could take the proposal and photos herself and actually look at the 16 trees on her own without?
Yeah, I
Paul
could do
there?
that. I could
Because he
definitely
has-
do that and maybe call, I mean, I would like to have a conversation with Paul because I do have questions, but I don't want to drag everybody through the mud, but because they may be self-evident. I would, no,
She wants to do it after she walks.
I want to physically go out there and look
Yeah,
at the
we do,
trees.
yeah.
It'd be nice for us to see them because we're going to vote on it as well.
Yeah, but we're going to go back over it as a group.
Oh,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
what are you asking? I'm sorry.
If we could look at the pictures.
Can you use
right
the
now.
Oh, if you want to do that now, that's fine, but I still want to go out and look
Okay,
at
I'm
them.
saying you can do
Okay,
whatever you want. I
that's
just don't
fine.
wanna walk yourself.
Okay, oh, that's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Oh,
I just want to mention that there is another meeting starting here at about 5:30. I believe it's ILS or somebody
That would be in the library, but I.
in the library.
absolutely,
Okay, perfect.
Agree, the time is of the
Yeah,
essence.
yeah.
We are approaching 5 o'clock in 2 hours.
So Paula has her week
Oh, and yeah, I mean, I can do
or
it in a
whatever.
few days.
Like, Paul, I'm just curious, is it matter if you, because you have, does it matter if you wait till the next meeting for your schedule to go over this or not?
As far as our schedule goes, we are 60 to 90 days booked in advance. So from the time we have an approval, we have 60 to 90 days in advance already scheduled out to then fit this work into our schedule before the beginning of the year. We always accommodate Nepenthe and make sure that this community gets priority. So I am not concerned about waiting if that's the will of everybody here. That's works perfectly for me.
Let me float this idea, and then it is time to move on. Could we consider a motion to approve subject to a final vote from Paula?
Well, it's not just Paula, it's all of us. And it seems like it's kind of rude to her to say, we're going to approve it no matter what you see or do.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to approve it, approve it. I have no problem with that. I'm just felt it important to express myself.
Yeah,
All right.
but she's just one vote, so it's really not subject to her approval.
So I mean,
The wisdom of Solomon. Okay, at this point, we have a motion that is passed to defer. And we will table until dawn.
Yes, thank you. But there's no timeline to this. I mean, defer it till when? Infinity? We need to right now put a date on it. So
Closer
we
is
don't tie
appropriate.
Paul up. We don't tie the committee up. We don't tie the board up.
Totally
And
agree.
Paula, I believe if I'm not speaking for you, Paula, but I believe she said she needed about a week. She can go out and look at all the.
Less than that.
Yeah, okay, but
days.
let's say a week to go out and look at all the trees. And I think that needs to be part of the motion. This motion needs to be revised. Otherwise,
Okay.
you can sit.
open-ended.
We can, yeah, it's open-ended. We could have this conversation next year. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm in my motion. A week, but it would probably be less.
And
Set
then,
a time, just set a time.
1 week. Okay, 1 week.
okay, 18, week from today.
And do we include in the proposal when we would meet again?
That's the second and final, that's the final piece. How do we assemble to do a vote? We might do it by phone or some other way if in fact meeting back for that one vote is just too difficult.
Okay, if that's the way we're going to do it, then Paul needs to go through it with us. I mean, if we're not going to, that's, I know,
Yeah.
if we're not going to have an opportunity to have Paul go through it, then yeah.
we need to see them.
Yeah, I thought we were going to wait till she did it and then we were going to have a whole group review. This is kind of,
Are you up for that?
You know, my suggestion is
What-
that,
Whatever you'd like to do, it's fine with me.
Like to go through now, just in case somebody can't make it.
All right.
I agree with you. Yeah, yeah.
How is everybody set for next Wednesday? I mean, Thursday? Same time, same station?
3 o'clock next Thursday,
Can't do that next 18th.
18th at 3 o'clock.
Unfortunately, one of my best friends passed about 2.5 weeks ago on the memorial.
Maybe the week of the 22nd sometime then. Is that possible?
23?
Yeah, 23 would be a yeah, because is that a zone walk, I guess? Yeah,
I know, that was a good idea.
Mm.
Well, then.
zone walk, yeah.
I mean, I feel bad. Paula, don't back.
Thursday, the 25th is the other possibility. I just want, all I'm saying is that the board meeting is on the 8th.
Got it.
No, on the 7th. What am I looking at? On the 7th. And so we need to have this proposal hopefully in that board packet. So which means maybe the week of the 22nd, so it could be the 25th, possibly, meeting again then and
25th is what day of the week?
And that way, because I really need enough time to get into the packet, into the board packet. So 8, yeah, that should do it. If we can do it, that's the latest, is the 25th.
So
How many photos are there? Because I still think it'd be nice to look at them just in case somebody.
We've actually decided that it's going to be done later, so.
we'll do
do you
that.
wanna-
at the time.
You mean you're going to do it on the 25th?
I will not be here the week of the 25th.
What day are you available on that week?
I am available Monday, the 22nd, and then I will be, or excuse me, I believe it's the 22nd. Let me look at my calendar. Sorry. Yes, Monday, the 22nd, and then I will be out of town until the 29th.
Monday, July 26th.
Is can anybody,
Friday?
hang on. No,
I
I
cannot.
can't. So 22nd, does anybody can do the 22nd? Good.
Monday?
No. Oh, yeah, I guess. 22nd. Let me just say,
22nd
that's the only.
is
everybody-
Wednesday,
It's a
Monday.
Monday?
Paul, you're available the 22nd?
Yes.
3 o'clock? That's fine.
Okay.
And we'll go through all the pictures and everything.
All right. So final, no change.
All right, 22nd.
We have agreed.
thank you, everybody. I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry.
Paula, no.
Thank you for accommodating me. Thank you very much. I respectfully thank you
It's
very
okay to
much.
see.
So it's.
But it's finished. Okay. We
Bring
agree.
alcohol.
Done. I do have one final thing I would, oh, you're set, none. Monday, the 22nd.
Yes, I'm fine with that. I would just like, can somebody give a summation of that last motion? Because I think there were maybe 3 parts of it.
Paula should.
Well, I think I can. I'm moving that we hold this item over. I am to make a visual inspection or visual tour. Call Paul with some questions if I have them. And I'm asking to put it over to the 22nd
Monday, the 22nd.
at 3 o'clock.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Appreciate your accommodation.
So we're all set? Okay, I'm going to take 3 minutes and then we're out the door. The reason for the delay until July was that as committee chair, and this is my 3rd year involved here, I've always wanted to move away from an oral tradition, an oral understanding, and this is the way we used to do it then, and now we can't do it, and I talked to the office and they said this, I talked to somebody else and they said that. Okay? It's almost like the game telephone when we were kids in school. You start with a message at one end and by the time you get down to the 12th person, you never recognize it. So I've made a best effort to put together a kit that talks about obligation, responsibility, and activity, and some definition of what those activities are. I've backed that up wherever possible with pieces from the board, standard and practices of management of landscape, the formal homeowner request form. And my charter to you is to take this tonight and spend some time with it, understanding that the purpose of this committee is stated by the board. It's responsible to monitor and review and maintain the appearance of Nepenthe, including trees. Recommendations for appropriate corrective steps shall be submitted to management and the board. Nowhere in the literature that I have been able to find is there anything other than observe, assess, recommend scope of work. That's it. That's policy. That's the basis for this committee. And so I realize there are others who have very sincere, who have a difference in opinion in terms of what the scope of work should be here or what our purpose is. And I in no way discount or mean to denigrate, but it is what it is. The charter is what it is. And so in 24, 25, that's where we're going. We're going to be as transparent as we can. And sometimes we're going to ramble like we did this afternoon, but to accommodate a newbie who legitimately should be accommodated. And that goes for homeowners. It goes for members of the committee. And it's only if you can do it that way with this attitude and approach are we going to survive and prosper. And so your homework assignment till next we meet, and I'm going to say the August meeting, is to chew on this thing, critique it, think about it, and come back with suggestions or agreement. And I'm just going to pass these around. And if someone has a serious disagreement in regards to what the charter is and what it is that we do, then we do have a problem. And it's problematic. And rather than take that up publicly, if you want to come talk to me personally, I would welcome that. But understand that this is the focus. And I expect that if we continue with your membership and activity, that it will be an acceptance of the purpose of this committee as defined by the board. Yes.
I have a technical question. So Dawn and I do our zone walks together and I take pictures and notes, with Dawn. What is the format? You said monthly we can make zone steward reports. What is the format? Should I email it to you in advance with the pictures? Should I just bring my phone here with the pictures? What is the form? It's going to be in there? Okay.
Okay, but basically what we're saying is after you go out and do your assessment, please take a photo because the rest of us won't know what.
Right.
Can't visualize it.
Okay.
Put some liner notes. Shoot it to me. And with your recommendation, hey, this makes sense. Or this is the third time we've heard about this. They're in compliance. My recommendation is we don't do a thing.
Okay. So email it to you and Teresa. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then what that then does is ensures that it becomes part of the agenda.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
We good?
Mhm.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
You bet.
Jim. Thank you.
You bet. God, we all still have our body parts in there in the right place. I can't believe it.
Meeting adjourned.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
We're out of here.
I'm good.
And to those of you